Hello and welcome back to SPL Special, the show where I take Pokemon way too seriously. This is episode 3 of the season and also our final episode, and it's a special one. I'm going to be interviewing the SPL 3 champion. Unfortunately, that's not me. I was going to do a bit where I just interviewed myself for the entire episode, but instead I am joined by the person who actually won. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I think this camera, hey. My name is Ryan O'Connor. I am the back-to-back SPL champion, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Nice, thank you for being on here.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? How do you feel about the finals? How they went and everything?
I knew it was going to be a tough battle, just because I know Fendi's play style. I know how he likes to build. I know how he likes to maneuver, how he likes to pivot and all that good stuff. His team, I feel like, was a good matchup to mine. Thankfully it went how I hoped it would, but it was definitely earned. Like, I feel like it was one of the tougher battles I had to go through this season.
Yeah, I feel like it being in your position, with how I was, I don't know if I would have been able to beat him. We only played the one time, and that did not go well. It almost went well with the funny Ross Berry trick Starmie that actually killed last season's Tapu Lele.
Yeah, weirdly, even though we played 3 seasons together, I've only faced him one other time, and that was in season 1, and he had a perfect counter to my rain team in Gudra, and it was so infuriating to go up against.
Scary opponent, undoubtedly. But yeah, I was very surprised that you pulled it off. Just because you two, I think, are more on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
I think between like the 4 of us, Devontae being 4th, me being 3rd, 2nd, and so on. Everyone seems to be at like a similar level, and it all just comes down to how you play.
Even Shep and Hodge had a very good chance of making it to finals this season. It was probably the most stacked playoffs we've had in SPL, I'd say.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So now that the season is over, you could pretty much free to talk about how your team was and what your initial plans were. What did you want out of this season's team?
I originally wanted to masquerade it as just like a normal snow team because I felt like that was one of the more underwhelming weathers along with Sandstorm. But I wanted it to be fully about abusing Aurora Veil, which for those of you who don't know is basically setting up light screen and reflect at the exact same time, boosting both defenses, but only in snow. So instead of having a bunch of Mons that needed to be in snow, it's a bunch of Mons that can be in snow and benefit from screens mainly. So then it just opens up so many more opportunities of Mons I could draft.
I'd also like to add that snow used to be a thing called hail. It was not very good. It damaged everything that wasn't an ice type. This was it Gen? When did they change it?
It was hail from Gens 4 up until this gen, up through Gen 8.
Yeah, so really bad.
Yeah, very bad.
But snow is completely different. It doesn't damage types like it used to. Instead, it provides a defense boost. And with a certain Pokemon, you have Excalibur, it becomes a big issue.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Excalibur is a very bulky Pokemon. I don't remember its exact stats.
I think it's something along the lines of, it's got like 110 HP, I think, and then maybe 90 and 80 defense, something like that.
Yeah, because who cares about the special defense?
Oh, exactly.
You could just kill everything.
Exactly, and the defense boost from snow is just, it becomes so much, especially when you start factoring in items and boosting moves. It just snowballs out of control. Pun definitely intended.
And we'll get back to Excalibur because we have some stuff to go through with that. But this is also going to be like kind of a conversation because I ended up coming in 3rd. So I didn't end up being in finals, but I ended up being the best of the worst. Not exactly the worst.
I would
but
say it.
Yeah. My team was a rain team. It was a bit of an impromptu rain team, but it worked out. I'm trying to remember the exact Pokemon. I only have the image for yours. So it was Politoed as the main range setter, and then Archaludon, which I did not initially draft, but ended up getting from Python, another opponent that I've mentioned. It ended up being very broken. I did not
Insanely
realize.
broken.
Yeah, every single week that I brought it, I learned something new with that Pokemon, and it's a doozy. I will probably talk more about that later. And I made a lot of changes. Do you know how many trades you made for your season?
Quite a few, actually. I know a couple big ones were the ones I made at the very end of the season, like getting rid of Golurk for Hitmonlee and getting rid of Sylveon for Armarouge, which came in so clutch at the very end of the season.
Yeah.
But even like halfway through, getting rid of Hydrapple for Zygarde was a very big move for my team because it pulled so much weight.
Yeah. I think when I was talking to Dylan, I think he wanted to put a deadline on the trades because of that, because I kind of agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like at the very end decide you want to trade a whole bunch, because that's what I did too. I traded my Megas at the very end for Mega Pidgeot, and then I had a Greninja. So that might come up for discussion later.
Oh, it probably will, yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk mostly about your match.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go over my match real quick. I ended up setting up a light screen very early on, and then with Electivire, and then playing very aggressively, self-destructing or explosioning, whatever one Overquill had on Quagg's Overquill, and then amazingly undercutting Quagsire to get a Shell Smash off when it had used Haze, which is a move that reset stat changes, which is big for mons that rely completely on setup. On top of Quagsire having the ability Unaware, which I mentioned before. So it ended up killing the Quagsire, it ended up killing Hisuian Gudra, and it ended up killing Tapu Lele. All three Pokemon which I had lost to against Dev the first time I fought him. So that was a pretty elating moment. And then later on, I think at the end, once Hydreigon had died due to Hurricane, I think it was over. It didn't seem like it was over for me. I thought Bearski had a chance at punching through Politoed, but I think its bulk saved it. So that was pretty much that. But let's talk about your match now against.
Can I add something about your match though?
Yeah.
Like just the fact that you didn't bring Torterra your first matchup against Dev, did you?
I think I brought both
You did?
Shell Smashers, yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. But like you just weren't able to find the proper opportunity to set it up, and like just so happened under Tailwind no less, Quagsire outspeeding by 1 point so that Haze wouldn't go off properly. It gave you the perfect opportunity to rip through half of his team. It was like almost poetic because Shell Smashes put in so much work for you.
And the reason why that had undersped was because of how the natures work. For Torterra, once you team build it, it can either be Jolly, which is the plus speed, or it could be Adamant, which is the plus attack. I went with plus attack because when I had calced everything, his entire team, I absolutely needed to do the damage. But it ended up working out with Tailwind, which I wasn't expecting him to bring anyways.
It was a good bring on his part, really. That was a good builder.
Great. It was very scary building for him because they're kind of like how we are. Fendi and Dev are very similar in that regard.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about your match.
Great.
Let's talk about the lead. It was Terrakion and Hitmonlee. And then you had, well, I have the laptop here.
Yeah.
We can go through
Want me to
this.
just go through it turn by turn?
Yeah. If there's any kind of highlight you want to talk about.
The very interesting thing about this lead, and you said it was going to be like on screen in post. So the Hitmonlee and Terrakion lead, both of them were Choice Scarfed, which if you guys don't know, Choice Scarf is basically, it locks you into one move, but it boosts your speed by 50%. And so because Terrakion just naturally outspeeds Hitmonlee, he would have won the speed battle on the first turn, and he could have knocked me out. I was going off the assumption that he was either setup or choice band. So this is why turn 1 I used Earthquake, when it was very possible that he could have just close combated me and it would have been very bad because Hitmonlee would have put in so much work this battle. So that was just one little turn that kind of changed the outcome of the match. And then after that was when Heatran came in, which had kind of a very weird match, all things considered. It matched up really well into Pult, but also matched up really well into Florges, which is his bulky fairy type that kind of runs through my team. It's very fairy weak. And without Assault Vest on Heatran, it would have been over because he was running Hidden Power Ground on his Florges.
Yes.
And the burn on Florges with Lava Plume, which for those who don't know has a 30% chance to burn, completely changed it because it neutraled out his leftovers. Yeah, put him on a timer basically. And then it really became a battle of positioning from there, because that's when after then was when I brought Absol in to get it Mega Evolved. But and then it became a game of switching around. I brought Armarouge in on his Ferrothorn that he came in with. And then kind of the game of chicken started with Armarouge and Porygon 2 that happened multiple times throughout this match, because I wanted to find an opportunity to set up, but I knew he would have some sort of status to stop my sweep. So that's why I was switching back and forth instead of clicking like Calm Mind or Aura Sphere so I could take it out. And then setting up Aurora Veil was huge here. Missing a chilling water because of Snow Cloak was a very funny moment. Dylan and I had a good laugh because of it. And then from here, it was, again, more of a game of chicken. A lot of switching around up until Absol was able to put a dent into Porygon 2, which allowed me to take it out with Hitmonlee. But unfortunately, it resulted in Hitmonlee getting paralyzed, which would have ended the game there. But Terrakion coming out and close combating my Hitmonlee is what allowed Armarouge to come in and set up an Iron Defense and then tank an Earthquake from Mamoswine, which allowed it to reverse sweep with weak armor, which, if you guys don't know, basically reduces your defense but sharply boosts your speed. And when you have a move like Stored Power, which boosts in power for every boost that you have, it becomes very dangerous. So it was a very, very intense match that all came down to positioning in the very end and the final matchup with Armarouge and Mamoswine.
Yeah, I had forgotten that you had showed me the weakness policy set. I was like, oh my God, is this how it ends? And then I saw the attack and the special attacking boost go up, and then I realized, oh my God, this is it for Dylan. But very close either way. I don't know. I think Hitmonlee would have probably won that if it didn't get parried.
Yeah,
he prolonged it a bit.
Hitmonlee would have just gone with high jump kick the last 3 turns, or it would have forced Terrakion to come in and close combat again, which would have just resulted in basically the same thing with Armarouge coming in. But I just cannot stress how much of a good battler Fendi is. Yeah. Like, it's always a good match. All the ones that he's in, not even just against me. If it's not just like a 6-0 and like a beatdown, it's a close match and like one of the best games of the season. It just always tends to happen with him.
Yeah, and so yeah, that was the very exciting finals. Let's talk about some funny moments in the season, like in general. Do you recall any off the top of your head?
I would say not me. It was you. Torterra sweeping Shep because I had lost to him the previous week. Seeing the Shell Smash go off against what was it, Belly Bolt? And then there just wasn't anything he could really do about it. I have an immense amount of respect for Shep. He's such a good battler. But there's just something about a Shell Smasher getting a sweep like that. It's so satisfying to watch.
Yeah, I'm like surprised that Torterra didn't get shell smashed earlier, but
I
I'm
know.
glad that people forgot that it didn't get the move.
It definitely should have been up one tier, but we won't worry about that.
I'm not. I'm no. I'm biased. I'm biased. It still dies at any ice beam ever or ice shard.
Very true.
No. I think I'm not gonna dwell on it, but redoing the thing.
Yeah, the no Terra.
I still think I would have won that, just because of how I had planned it. But threw a wrench into things. I was a little bit. I was like, I think I was more upset than he was, because I wanted that win so badly.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat him on like fair rounds, but.
And on that same vein, the very next week with Sinistra just setting up and me not being able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those, I'm so angry at this luck that I'm having, but I just cannot be mad because it's Sinistra Gaming. Sinistra Gaming.
Yeah. All the misses that happened were funny. I think Colin definitely lost a part of his soul.
I think it was, 5 or 6 Draco Meteors in total were missed this season, and it's a 90 accuracy move?
Yeah. Very funny. Maybe not for him.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And then shout out Steel Wing Dragapult. That's just the set of the season.
Yeah, that was very surprising.
Against a Clefable, why would Doji even think that Fendi was going to bring that? It's like actually genius. And the weakness policy, so good.
And it worked out for him
did.
getting a perfect regular season. SPL mascots I have some topics written down, just so I don't go off the rails. This next one is SPL mascots. We'd actually talked about this in an audio episode, which I'll link. I think most of the people in the league have heard the episode, but I'll still link it anyways. SPL mascots. Let's delve into that for a minute.
Yeah.
Season 1, definitely melodic.
For sure.
Season 2, I still uphold that it could be either Valiant, which was your MVP for winning it, or it could be Slow Row as your personal choice.
I went back and forth between my MVP for that season because Valiant was just such a great sweeper. It's so unpredictable. But Slow King, with its slow pivots and its regenerator and slack off and all that good stuff, it's so easy to get sweepers in with it. And it was just, I went back and forth. I ultimately chose Valiant as my MVP.
Yeah.
But if we're going for a themed logo for SPL, Slow King makes a lot of sense.
And this is where I come in, because even though I didn't win, and the fact that Ryan won, that means I get my own MVP of the season, because you guys were graciously letting me pick my own. We're going to go with Politoed, most likely Politoed, as the rain setter. Are you noticing a theme with all the water types and how broken and stupid water or rain is? I am.
Yeah. Every single season, at least one person has had a rain team, and 9 times out of 10, they end up doing pretty well. Like, I made playoffs. I was a first-round exit in the playoffs the first season with the rain team. And then Bicey had rain last season, and then you and Bicey both had rain this season. And obviously the season didn't go as planned for Bicey with getting Pelipper.
He should have won at least one of those matches, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But
you having Politoed, which is commonly known as the inferior rain setter, just because it doesn't have Stab Hurricane and good recovery and all that good stuff, making it to 3rd place is insane. So it's thematically fitting that the SPL logo would be rain themed.
Yeah, and I think I might commission someone to make a proper logo for that. But yeah, that's the SPL mascots. All bulky all bulky water types that cannot die and are very annoying to play against, like poison types are.
Exactly.
So I have one more main topic, and then we got a couple bonus stuff that we can go and get into. Naming conventions. I want you to explain some of it. Actually, can you tell me why Thunderous is called Rutherford? Why?
So Rutherford is a famous physicist who helped discover the structure of the atom.
Okay.
So very electricity themed and all that good stuff. And plus, I'm a physics major. You know I got to be a nerd every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. You think I'm a jock or something?
Yeah, not gonna lie, I thought it was just in reference to one of the presidents, Rutherford B. Hayes.
That would have been funny, honestly. Imagine a president-themed team.
I always make jokes. I want to draft like different presidents. Like USSS Grant's going to be my first draft pick. He's very underrated. Yeah, why don't you? I have the picture here, so you can go through them.
Yeah.
Talk about why you pick some of them.
All right, so I'm gonna go through some of the more obvious ones first. Heatran, Stark is Stark Mountain, like that's.
Oh, I didn't catch up on
You
that
didn't
one.
catch that one?
No.
For those of you who don't know, that's the mountain in Sinnoh where you can catch Heatran in the post game. Hitmonlee, Mortar, Mount Mortar. In Johto is where you get Tyrogue from the Karate King. Okay, and Zygarde 10%, his name is Rocco. That's my dog. So I kind of had to. Big dog, big dude.
He always barks at me.
Yeah, he likes you though.
He likes me. He likes me.
All right, and now we'll get into some of the fun ones. Mega Absol, I named it Harbinger just because in all the Pokédex entries, it's known as like the bringer. It's like just a bad omen altogether.
It's like a black cat.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought it sounded cool. Ninetales, Whiteout, that's just kind of self-explanatory, just because of the blizzard. Baxcalibur with Fractal. Those of you who don't know, a fractal is basically a structure that you zoom into it and it keeps going on forever with basically unique shapes as it goes. One thing that is a fractal is a snowflake. So I just thought, it sounded cool. It's
That's
snow
cool.
themed.
I didn't catch that on that one either.
Tentacruel, Trench. I don't know. I just wanted to think of something oceanic that
Mariana
sounded
Trench.
intimate. Yeah, Mariana Trench. Yeah. Arctivish being named Abomination just because it is one. That's one of my favorite names that I had this season. I love Arctivish so much. It's such a funny mon. Sandslash being named Sub-Zero. It was more of a reference to the one I used in Gen 7, which is the Alola games, where Sandslash Alola came from. The Ice-type Z-move is called Sub-Zero Slammer in that game, so I named it after that. That and also like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
That's pretty cool, kind of a double meaning there. And then Armarouge being named Zero is a reference to the Mega Man games,
I knew it.
which I am a huge
I
fan
knew it.
of, and I have been since I was younger. Zero is the red dude from the X series, he's just a badass. So I had to have a Mega Man themed thing. It was just too perfect.
I really like Sarah-Edge and Armarouge because
Yeah.
they just look really cool. I'm more of a Sarah-Edge kind of guy,
I
but
used to be too, but then I built one competitive Armarouge on file like a year or two ago, and I fell in love with it. It wasn't even a weakness policy. It was just like, I think it was choice specs.
yeah.
It was just spamming armor cannon, and it was so fun.
Okay, so I do have this bonus thing. That's a very quick thing. The Kill Connor. I spent time in class. I really shouldn't be doing that.
That's a good use of time.
An Elite Four Kill Connor because we all had a specific Pokemon that completely swept teams. I'll go with the top ones of our respective teams. So Dev had Tapu Lele with 14 kills. That was due to it being Scarfed and did it run Expanding Power? I don't know if it has that move.
I think it does have Expanding Force. I don't know if he used. It might not have Expanding Force actually. I think it just spams Psychic and Moonblast, and it's just hard to switch into.
Yeah, I'll put up the stats, but it's ridiculous. Archaladon, partly because unkillable, I gotta say. It gets stamina. Every time you hit it with any kind of move, it gets a boost in defense, and also gets to move Body Press, which calculates defense. So even if you were to burn it, which halves attack, it doesn't do anything to Body Press because it doesn't take into account attack. Also, Electroshot working once in Rain, which is very nice.
And also just the combo of Stamina and Assault Vest is very hard to take down with just one Mon. If you bring in a fighting type to it, you're 9 times out of 10 you're not two-shotting it.
Yeah.
So you're losing something.
And for your team, for Dylan, surprisingly Mamoswine. It was either Mamoswine or Dragapult, both extremely offensive Pokemon. I'd say more so Dragapult,
Yeah.
but Mamoswine pulling through there with it mainly being Scarf, was able to get a lot of pot shots off of other mons with Icicle Crash and Earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
And then for you, Baxcalibur, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, no surprise there.
It's a insanely good Pokemon.
Well, why did they think that a Mon with pseudo-legendary stats that can get a defense boost in snow with Aurora Veil needs an ability that ups its attack when it's hit by a fire move and it cannot be burned?
It's crazy.
Why'd they think that was a good idea?
I remember the one time that Baxcalibur did get burned when I'd used it, completely different tournament, because of how abilities work. Once, I gotta think, it was with...
I think it was burned by Scald or something like that.
It was, yeah, by a Galarian Weezing, which has the ability Neutralizing Gas, which snubs abilities. When it switched out, the ability activated again, and that was the only reason I was able to win. So that was really funny. That was a pleasant surprise. I guess the only other thing I wanted to mention before I move on to the bonus stuff is the fact that Dylan had mentioned that all 4 of us had a pseudo-legendary dragon.
Yeah.
I guess less so for our Chaladon, just the way how it's arbitrary, but it has 600 base stat.
It basically is a pseudo. It's the pseudo of the DLC.
Yeah. So, yeah, everyone had their own little special dragon type, which is, I guess, really funny.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all the main topics. I got 2 things I want to talk about, 2 fun things. Let's talk about the SPL Awards, the thing that you sent out.
Yes, sir.
Last week. So we had asked our league, the 16 of us, to answer some questions, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, MVP, etc. So I'll go through those now. The first one, Rookie of the Year, it was between the 2 Dosters, Trey and Dev. And the winner for that is Devontae with a 72.7. I don't know if I'm going to go through all the percentages, but...
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
All that matters is the person who wins it.
I was a little bit surprised, but I guess that makes sense because Dev actually was the one that made it. But very close regardless, I would say.
Yeah, we're going to get a shout out the very next one, though, so it's okay.
Yeah. Comeback Player of the Year, Trey for taking over... I don't remember who he took over for, but he took over...
Justice's squad.
Yeah, yes, that's who it was. He took over, and then he proceeded to win every single week except to winners and curse the rest of the season for the rest of us. But yeah, Comeback Player of the Year. He was also the only option, but I think it was a
I kind of rigged it, but he definitely deserved a shout out.
Definitely.
That sort of comeback is hard to do in this league, especially with only 10 weeks.
Yeah. Up next, Most Improved Player. It was between me and Haj, and I won! I'm not really surprised, I guess, considering just how playoffs went. But he snubbed my Rookie of the Year last year.
I know.
Oh
For
God.
those of you who don't know, Mario and Haj both barely missed playoffs last season, and both had a strong case for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And so it was basically and both of them made playoffs this year. So it was just basically whoever made it further was almost guaranteed to get the award. But Haj put up a very good fight. Oh my God, that match was awful.
God, I'm just saying he probably should have won that if he'd played it a tiny bit better, but...
I'm going to see Clodsire in my nightmares, I swear to you.
Up next, we have Scariest Team. This one is actually quite close. The 2 people in contention for that seriously was between you and Fendi. And the person who won that, Fendi. Not really an explanation why, I'd say, although they're both extremely good teams. Fendi's team is just infinitely harder to break through just because it doesn't have to rely on the snow. And with the defense and special defense stat being what it was, extremely hard.
He simultaneously had an amazing balance of defense and offense, and all of his defensive mons could, go on the offense if they needed to. So hard to break through.
Yeah, and what he didn't have in speed, he made up for with Dragapult being literally one of the fastest Pokemon in the game.
And also, put the camera on me one sec. He didn't make a single trade all season.
He didn't.
He rode with the same team all season. How did he even?
I don't think he did that. Did he do that last season where he didn't make any trades?
I don't know. But he even said during the draft that he hated his team. And he stuck with it and made it to finals.
Testament to Dylan.
Yeah, oh my God.
Best battler. It was basically all 6 people in contention who had made playoffs. The winner of that is Fendi. I would say if that had to be a reason, probably just due to his regular season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah, I'd say so. MVP. This was the big boys, the big Pokemon. I'll go through the options. It was Baxcalibur, Archaludon, Clefable, Tapu Lele, Dragapult, and Regigigas.
Regigigas Pog.
Surprisingly, a lot of people voted for that one.
The only reason why I put it on there is because I asked everyone to put their MVP on the sheet, and Python was the only other person aside from people in playoffs to do it. So I kind of felt obligated to put it on there, but also Regigigas is just so funny.
Yeah. This one was quite interesting how that turned out. It was not close by any means. It was kind of all split. But the winner of that is my boy Archaludon. I'm so happy that I won at least 2 awards, even if I didn't win specifically for that.
Shout out my boy Arch. He getting banned.
I hope not.
Him and Bax are gone. There's no way.
I hope not. We have a few more. Most clutch moment. I'll go through these 4 of them. So the first one was my match against Devontae with the Torterra, which was a very pivotal moment for me. The next one is on week 2, Arcanine living at 1 HP. This was Haj's and Fendi's match. I might have mentioned that in episode 1 of the season. The next one is the Steel Wing Dragapult against Doji, which definitely came in clutch.
Oh, it did, yeah.
I think he would have definitely not have gotten a perfect season without that.
Doji had Fendi. He had him on the ropes, and then he got the weakness policy Steel Wing, and it was just so, oh my God. I just can't stop raving about it.
That was insane seeing that live. And then Armarouge with the reverse sweep, and with a whopping 41.7%, it is the Armarouge. I think that one's pretty deserved. That was a good way to end out SPL 3 with all the craziness, and I think it was definitely a great clutch that definitely well deserved.
Yeah.
We had a question on the points-based tiering system. What we had done this season was categorize all the Pokemon into 5 different tiers, and then megas. Everyone had to get a mandatory mega. They didn't have to use them, so what we had done was give people points back for megas that we had considered worse. So, for instance, the Mega Banette that Fendi had, coincidentally, was worth like 12 extra points
Gave
or
him
something.
12 more points, yeah.
Gives you a lot of freedom. I had mentioned earlier about my Pidgeot. I traded it because I wanted the more points.
I think it gave you 8?
Yeah, it was either tier 2. It was something. It gave me enough points.
I think it was tier 3.
Yeah. And most people had actually liked that, so I think we're going to continue that.
Yeah, I think it should say, yeah.
I do find the old system appealing. I'd personally voted for the point system anyways, but the way that we had done it before was with OU, RU, and UU. It was basically 2 OU, 2 UU, and 2 R, and everything else RU, and you get like 10 Pokemon or something.
Yeah, but the problem was, it's a Natdex. So like, Natdex OU is like, what, 30 Mons, UU is like 30 Mons, and then what, RU is the rest of them?
It's Pokemon Showdown politics, man. No one's playing Natdex.
No one plays Natdex, no.
But I like the points that I think maybe Python or Haj had brought up, that it was like fun to experiment with RU Pokemon. But regardless, we're sticking with the point system for now. Any Pokemon that people want to see banned, I'll go through all of them and they will all be voted on. So the first one was Espathra. Interesting choice, but that will be voted on.
It is kind of a cheap mon, all things considered.
It is. It's weird.
Maybe less so without Terra, but still, it's a very hard mon to deal with. I don't even know if anyone had it, though.
No one had it. No one had it. Baxcalibur got it got 4 votes.
Deserved.
Yeah. Zamazenta, interesting. That's a weird one. I used that last season, didn't feel broken. Not even out of bias, it just did not have power to it. Annihilate, I wonder who voted that one. And Walking Wake, that's also interesting. I think that one might be interesting to vote on.
Well, I mean, because who had Walking Wake?
Doji.
Doji had it?
Yeah, he had
Oh,
Sun as well.
he did have a Sun team. It's very hard to switch into in Sun. It's kind of like an Archaludon situation, where like it's very good outside of Sun, but in Sun it's a monster. It's hard to battle against.
Yeah, and the last one, Blood Moon Ursaluna, I don't even think we're going to be able to vote on that. I think it's just straight up banned.
I think we did ban it, yeah.
I think it might be, no, I mean like in general, it's in Ubers now.
Really?
It might be.
Oh,
I gotta cut. I'll cut it out. Don't worry, or bleep it. Now the fun part, the fun ones. Who do we want to see unbanned? We got Roaring Moon. That one's a doozy. I
mean, without Terra, like its main set is what? Booster, Dragon Dance, Terra Fly, Acrobatics.
It's very predictable, but it is an interesting thing. I'll say what I voted personally: Solgaleo, Deoxys Speed, and Landorus Incarnate. I think with power creep, you could pretty much get away with running those now. Those are box legendaries, by the way. Besides, well, one of them's a box legendary. Deoxys Speed is a mythical, probably the frailest of the Deoxyses.
Surprisingly, it's not. It's got, I think, 80 defenses, and it's got, what, 50 HP, so it's definitely frail.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily hit hard, doesn't necessarily take hits, it's just fast.
Yeah. And then Landorus Incarnate, which is, that's a doozy.
Sheer Force Life Orb is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. Terra, I'm not talking about that right now. Terra is going to be a debate. Regirock, you want to unban Regirock? even though someone used it?
Free my mans.
Deoxys Speed is a second vote. Roaring Moon, so I guess that got a second vote. Chiyu, that's an interesting one.
Funny Fish.
And Iron Bundle, specifically for Tier 1. Those might be doable, actually.
I honestly think they have a shot of being there next season.
People who aren't familiar with those are the Gen 9 ones. So if people haven't played Gen 9, those were definitely ban-worthy when the game first came out. But with DLC and added stuff.
Especially because the league right now, we do ban Terra, which, like we said, it's going to be a debate. But if we were to unban Terra, it would probably only be for the lower tier mons. So they would probably have a case for sticking around.
And I will say, because I actually played a thing called Monotype, shout out Monotype, by the way. Chiyu, Flutter, never mind, Chiyu is still banned. Fluttermane specifically is a thing, along with Spectrier.
They allow Spectrier and Monotype?
Yeah, for Ghost.
We are not unbanning that, no.
But they have Roaring Moon unbanned because how Monotype is straight up banning Terra. You can run crazier stuff like that. And lastly, the different formats. This is an experimental kind of thing. We have some stuff like Monotype, VGC or doubles, Little Cup. I guess for an off season.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was a lot of support for Little Cup or VGC.
Yeah. OU, I'm not in support of that, but
well, I know
would be
a lot of the like YouTube drafts are like regular Gen 9 OU.
I guess so, yeah.
But if that were the sort of thing, we would definitely need to talk about unbanning Terra because it would make it more interesting. Because as of right now, Gen 9 OU is just kind of there.
Yeah. Little Cup or Monotype. Anything goes. Something like Mono, but might not be as fun. And AG/Ubers. So a whole bunch of stuff which we can all vote on. I have like a completely miscellaneous, not SPL related topic, but yeah, I want to say to everyone that has played, thank you so much for joining for a third season. I know that it was tough for like some people, but it was fun. I think I definitely enjoyed playing it, and SPL content carried my semester because I do this as part of some of my college assignments. I might release some of the audio recordings I did with you because you also go here.
Yeah.
And I'd use some of the stuff for assignments. And yeah.
Yeah, let me just say, we really do appreciate all you guys sticking it out through the season. I know it can be grueling, but we, like all of the mods and everything, we all really appreciate it. It was a very fun season, and it was a pleasure meeting everyone that was at Colton's party when we took the little SPL photo.
I'm gonna
put that on screen right now.
Put it
on screen.
That was a hell of a photo, man.
Oh my God.
Almost everyone. Well, you know what? I'm gonna bring this up, but this is the bracket, how that turned out for everyone who is not in the tournament. I had just put everything there, and then I added a third place because that actually didn't matter for getting your buy-in money back.
Nope.
Oh God, that's a controversy. Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna have to collect collection money before the season starts because this cannot happen again.
Oh God, no. Anyway, last topic that I wanted to bring up. Ryan and I were talking about hypothetical Elite Four teams. You know how if people have played Pokemon before, I'm sure everyone that watches this video has played Pokemon. Basically, you fight the Elite Four and the champion, and they have like their cool teams. Some of them not so cool, like Lance's 3. Actually, I learned this. Lance has like 3 different types of Dragonites.
Yeah.
He uses for different stuff.
Like they're all different sets.
Yeah.
Which is really weird, like that they went into that much detail when they could have just given all of them Outrage.
But yeah, we made a couple Elite Four teams. I'll put these up on screen, but we'll start with yours. So why don't you explain some of the stuff you wanted to for your 6 Pokemon?
Yeah. So it's kind of a riff on my last 2 seasons that I did. Kind of mixing the Aurora Veil Snow type thing with Scizor, Slacking, and Iron Valiant that I had from last season. Or did I say Slacking? I meant Slowking. My bad. Don't murder me in the comments. And then also, I am a huge advocate for legalizing Deoxys Speed. That's the one mon I really want to use. So I put him in there because you know what? Why not? So it's kind of a riff on those 2 teams, some new added threats. It just all around kind of speaks to my playstyle, I feel like. All favorite mons of mine. And then, yeah, free my boy Deoxys Speed. He deserves it.
And then I made my own team. I based it on Rain because I love Rain. So what I have here is Hisuian Samurott, which was not exactly my first starter, but when I had first gone into Pokemon, it was the Gen 5 games, and Samurott or Oshawott was the water starter. So, and it was not very good at all, by the way. It was not a very good water. But now they have Hisuian Samurott, which is completely, I wouldn't say busted, but it sets hazards with an attacking move, which is great. Well, there's a couple that do that, but it's crazy that a starter can do that.
Also, side note, shout out to Samurott being my favorite bug type because it gets X-Scissor. So it's a little bit.
Are you serious right now?
It's a little bit of an inside joke for you there. But
shut up.
Imagine using Samurott in a bug monotype run.
I don't like you. I regret inviting you to my show where I'm gonna bleep this out. Hit on me.
I love you. Love you.
Okay, I guess I'll provide 1 second of context. I did a monotype run of Gen 5 with the bugs of it, but I used Samurott because I wanted to just not switch out, basically for all the surfing sections in that game.
Oh yeah, because there are a lot of them.
And that's the only reason, and I gave it a bug move, and that was my bug Pokemon. And you know what? My choices was validated in Gen 9 because for Samurott, they gave it the Bug Terra event.
They did, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bug type now, okay?
It for real is a bug type, and I can't make fun of you for it anymore.
Anyway, yeah, so Hisuian Samurott, Pelipper, my signature rain setter, I gave it a Choice Scarf because it surprisingly does a lot. Weather Ball, 100 base attacking move.
Yeah, 100 base power. Plus stab, plus rain boost.
It gets its burrows. And then my boy Archelodon, the GOAT, the MVP. And then I went with Aegislash, which I had used last season, which was, I think it's one of my favorite Pokemon top 3 in general anyways. It's so cool. I named it Dragon Slayer, even though it doesn't have any dragon moves. It just looks cool. Zapdos, one of my favorite legendaries. Kind of power crept these days. And then Mega Swampert, just for the fact that it gets Swift Swim. So it combined with the rain, it's good. And
especially because they gave it Flip Turn this gen.
Yeah, very. I didn't even put Flip Turn on the team right here, but I think that is everything. I guess the future of SPL, I kind of put that as a question mark.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Just that probably within the next couple weeks, once we get the final roster of teams kind of situated, we're going to do all the voting and all that good stuff. I could see next season being the round robin, like we kind of gauged interest on, just because it's going to be shorter and the people that get off to a rough start don't have to sit through an entire season.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense considering like if you have a really bad record, your morale's just gone. So like
I don't blame people for like just giving up trying for that. So.
Yeah. Shout out Shep and Doji for bringing that up. That's probably is a good idea. I think we should vote on that. Changing the metagame could also be something really fun to spice it up, whether it is for next season or like kind of like a side event. But I love the idea of Lil Cup, Monotype. Anything goes would be silly.
Oh my God. But that is it. That is all for this season of SPL Special. Please look forward to SPL Special Season 2. Where we will be talking about SPL season. But basically, yeah, I'll do another season of this. This was very fun. I enjoyed going through the matches. I enjoyed editing it, even though it was a pain, but I really enjoyed how that turned out.
The videos honestly made the season feel more real. Like it was an actual tangible event in League. Like obviously the last couple seasons it was something, it was a time commitment, but like with actual live feedback, it was crazy seeing all of our matches like getting the spotlight and being talked about. Like it made it feel like an actual sport. Yeah. It was nice.
It was very. I liked the feedback that everyone had for that too. So
yeah, and from everyone in the league, thank you for doing it. Really, I know that the majority of them were for assignments and all that good stuff, but it really made the season that much more special.
To be fair, the SPL Special itself was just for fun. Yeah. But I'm totally doing this for another season.
Hell yeah.
But that is all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching all of these, and thank you, Ryan, for joining me on here. It was very great having you on for this. So
yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
Right. But yes, thank you guys for watching. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna do that part. I gotta say one other thing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and finally. Thank you, Kat, for doing all the camera work, because that I can't imagine was, it basically just one person set up this whole thing, and shout out to Mike Smith, the person who set up the studio for this, and thank you to everyone in the Talon TV Club for all the stuff, all the help. But yeah, that is everything. That's SPL Special for you, and thank you so much for watching. Yeah, we're done.
The plane has landed.